Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of CyberScope, your no-fluff podcast powered by SecurityTide, where we break down complex cybersecurity concepts into sharp, digestible insights. If you're studying for your CompTIA Security Plus, you're in the right place. In this episode, we're diving deep into Chapter 1 of the Security Plus Study Guide, Cybersecurity Fundamentals, Objectives, Threats, and Controls. I've summarized everything in a clean, no-nonsense way, not just listing concepts, but explaining why they matter and how they actually apply in real-world security roles. Now, here's something extra. I've created a free PDF summary of Chapter 1, linked in the description below. You can either read the study guide PDF first, then come back to this video to reinforce what you've just learned, or watch the video first, then download the guide to review at your own pace. Either way, it's designed to help you lock in the key points, fast and with clarity. I'll be dropping new videos covering each chapter of the Security Plus guide, weekly to bi-weekly. So be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and join me on this journey. For now, check out the Chapter 1 PDF, then sit back and enjoy the full breakdown in this episode of CyberScope, right here on SecurityTide. Let me know in the comments which part of Chapter 1 was most helpful, or what confused you. I'll be responding and maybe even expanding on it in future episodes. Let's get you Security Plus certified, and more importantly, truly understand the mindset behind cybersecurity. All right, let's dive in.
Welcome back to CyberScope. We take complex sources and, well, we try to boil them down to what you really need to know, fast. Today, we're jumping right into cybersecurity fundamentals. You hear the term all the time, right? But our mission really is to get past the usual stuff and figure out what cybersecurity is actually trying to protect, what it's up against, and the strategies involved. We're using cybersecurity fundamentals, objectives, threats, and controls as our guide here. Now, when most people hear cybersecurity, they immediately think, okay, hackers, data theft, maybe credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's definitely part of it, but the real picture, it's much bigger, more complex, and actually pretty strategic. Let's maybe think about a hypothetical company, SecureLink Corp, maybe a tech startup. We can use them as we go to sort of illustrate these ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because at its core, cybersecurity, well, it's really about hitting three main goals. It's a concept we often call the CIA triad. Sounds simple, but it's foundational. It guides, well, pretty much every security decision.
Okay, CIA triad. Let's break that down. C is confidentiality. So keeping secrets secret, making sure only the right people see sensitive info. For our secure link example, it'd be like, what? Their source card, customer lists, financials? Right.
Precisely, things they don't want getting out.
And the tools for that are things like access controls, firewalls, encryption.
Yes, encryption is a big one. Yeah, scrambling that data so it's useless without the key.
Got it. Okay, so C is confidentiality. What's I?
I stands for integrity.
Yeah.
This one's about ensuring information and systems haven't been messed with. Unauthorized modification is the enemy here. It's about maintaining accuracy, completeness. Think about SecureLink's customer database again.
Okay.
Or their product designs. If someone changes an order or messes with a design file, even accidentally,
That could be disastrous, yeah.
right. So, controls here, things like hashing, creating that sort of unique digital fingerprint for data.
Right.
And integrity monitoring tools constantly checking for changes. And here's a key point. Integrity threats aren't always malicious hackers. It could be something like a power surge corrupting data.
A bit flip, they call it sometimes.
Exactly, a bit flip. Or even just an honest mistake, a typo in the wrong place that disrupts a system. It's still an integrity problem.
Okay. C, I, so A must be availability.
You got it. Availability, making sure legitimate users can get to the information and systems when they actually need them.
Because like you said, what's the point of perfect data if Secure Link's customers can't log in, or their own team can't use their tools?
Exactly. It has to be usable. So for availability, you're looking at strategies like fault tolerance.
Where backup systems take over.
Right. Or clustering, where systems work together for resilience. And of course, good old backups and recovery plans are crucial.
And like integrity threats here aren't always attacks, are they?
No, not at all. A fire in SecureLink's data center or, like you mentioned earlier, a massive power outage.
Yeah.
Those are major availability threats too.
It's interesting how those three, confidentiality, integrity, availability, really cover the main goals.
They really do. And security analysts lean on the CIA triad heavily. It's like a common language. They use it to frame risks, understand attacks, choose controls. It standardizes how we talk about security posture.
So that's the core CIA triad, but you mentioned something else, non-repudiation. It's not part of CIA, but it's important.
Yeah, it's sort of a close cousin. Very important, especially legally or in business. Non-repudiation, it basically means you have proof that someone definitely took an action and they can't deny it later.
Like a digital signature.
Exactly. Perfect example. If SecureLink's CEO digitally signs off on a big purchase order, that signature provides non-repudiation. It's proof. Can't say, I didn't do that later.
Makes sense. Okay, so if CIA is what we want to protect,
Mm-hmm.
then there's this other triad, the DAD triad, which is kind of the flip side, the threats.
That's it. The DAD triad describes the main threats.
Mm-hmm.
And neatly, each one maps directly onto one of the CIA goals. DAD stands for disclosure, alteration, and denial.
Okay, so disclosure must map to confidentiality.
Spot on. Disclosure is the unauthorized exposure of sensitive information, basically data loss, secrets getting out when they shouldn't. For SecureLink, maybe an attacker steals their customer database. That's disclosure.
Or even accidental, right? Like an employee loses a laptop with sensitive files.
Absolutely. Or misconfigures some cloud storage so it's public. Still disclosure, still a breach of confidentiality.
Okay, then alteration, that must hit integrity.
You got it. Unauthorized modification of information.
So an attacker changing financial records at SecureLink for fraud.
Classic example. Or again, it could be non-malicious. That power surge causing a bit flip we talked about, that's alteration.
Or just someone typing the wrong value into a critical configuration file.
Exactly. Still alteration, still an integrity violation.
Which leaves denial, threatening availability.
Perfect. Denial is disrupting legitimate access for authorized users.
The classic DDoS attack, right? Flooding SecureLink's website so nobody can reach it.
That's a prime example of intentional denial, but it can also be accidental. Maybe a critical server fails unexpectedly.
Or a construction crew cuts a fiber optic cable SecureLink depends on.
Precisely. Or a natural disaster takes out connectivity, still results in denial of service.
You know, putting CIA and DID together like that, it feels like a really practical way to think about risk.
It really is.
Like for SecureLink building a new customer portal, they can just ask, okay, DID disclosure risk. What sensitive data is here? Alteration risk. Could someone mess with orders or profiles? Denial risk. What happens if this portal goes down?
Exactly. It cuts through the noise and gives you these targeted questions. It's a powerful framework for planning and analysis.
And these security incidents, the breaches of C, I, or A, they're not always hackers in hoodies, are they?
No, definitely not. Malicious attacks get the headlines, sure, but incidents often stem from just accidents. Someone clicking the wrong link, sending an email to the wrong list.
Or even natural events, like you said, floods, fires.
Yeah, all can lead to a security incident.
And the impact of these incidents, wow, it goes way beyond just the tech side of things. Businesses think about this in terms of different risk categories, right?
That's right. Standard business risk thinking applies here too. Usually categorized as financial, reputational, strategic, operational, and compliance risks. Okay.
Financial is probably the most obvious one. Direct costs, right?
Yep. Direct money damage. For SecureLink, maybe paying ransoms, hiring incident response teams, rebuilding systems. That's direct.
But there's indirect financial damage too.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine SecureLink loses its secret product plans to a competitor, the lost future revenue from that. That's a massive, if harder to calculate, financial hit.
Ouch. Okay, then reputational risks.
This one's huge. A breach leads to bad press, customers lose trust, maybe employees and partners too.
And that's hard to put a number on, I guess.
Extremely hard. Yeah, but it affects everything. Sales, hiring, stock price if they're public. Goodwill is fragile.
And something that really hits home for individuals is identity theft, right? When personal data gets out.
Yes. This often goes beyond just the company. Breaches exposing personally identifiable information, PII, that's the stuff that directly identifies you.
Social security numbers, credit cards, passports.
All of it. Protecting PII is critical because the impact on individuals can be devastating and long-lasting.
Okay, what about strategic risk? How is that different from just, say, financial?
Strategic risk strikes at the heart of the organization's goals, its long-term plans, maybe even its survival. Remember SecureLink losing product plans? That doesn't just cost money, it could derail their entire growth strategy. Maybe a competitor beats them to market.
So it's about whether the company can still achieve its major objectives.
Exactly, it threatens the core mission or business plan.
Whereas operational risk is more about the day-to-day grind.
Right. Operational risk impacts daily functions. Things slow down, processes get delayed, people might have to do things manually that were automated.
Like if SecureLink's internal communication system goes down, work still happens, maybe, but it's slower, less efficient.
Precisely. It causes friction and inefficiency in how the business runs today. Strategic risk threatens tomorrow. It's a useful distinction.
Okay, last one. Compliance risk. This sounds like legal trouble.
It often is. A security incident can mean an organization has violated laws or regulations.
Like HIPAA in healthcare. If SecureLink handles medical data for a partner and loses it...
Perfect example. Losing protected health information, PHI, under HIPAA means big fines, sanctions, mandatory notifications. Compliance failures can be very costly.
And I guess these risks often overlap, don't they?
Almost always. That PII breach we talked about, that's potentially reputational damage, financial damage from fines and providing credit monitoring, and a compliance failure all rolled into one.
It's a complex web. So we know the goals, CIA, the threats, triad, the potential impacts. How do we actually stop bad things from happening at SecureLink? This is where controls come in.
Exactly. Security controls are the specific actions, tools, policies, procedures you put in place to meet your security objectives, the how.
And professionals do something called a gap analysis.
Right. They look at the objectives, what SecureLink wants to achieve security-wise, and compare that to the controls they currently have. Any place where the controls don't fully meet the objective, that's a gap. And gaps represent risk that needs addressing.
Makes sense. Now, I understand controls themselves fall into different categories based on how they work.
Yes, there are 4 main categories based on their mechanism: technical, operational, managerial, and physical.
Okay, technical sounds like tech stuff, firewalls.
Exactly. Technical controls enforce CIA using technology. Firewalls, access control lists on files, encryption software, those are all technical.
Operational sounds more like processes, people doing things.
You got it. Operational controls are about managing technology securely through procedures. Things like SecureLink doing regular user access reviews, procedures for monitoring logs, their vulnerability scanning process.
Okay, managerial, that sounds high level.
It is. Managerial controls are about governance, policy, and risk management. Think SecureLink's overall security plan, their risk assessment methodology, security awareness training programs.
And physical must be things you can touch.
Pretty much. Controls that affect the real world, fences around SecureLink's building, locks on doors, server room cages, fire suppression systems, security guards.
And you probably need a mix of these for most things, right?
Absolutely. Almost always. Protecting SecureLink's data center isn't just about the physical lock on the door.
Right. You need the lock, physical, but also rules about who gets a key and checking that list regularly, operational, and maybe an overarching policy approved by management.
Managerial.
Exactly. It's defense in depth, using layers of different control types.
Okay, so that's how controls work.
Yeah.
But I also heard there are different types based on what they're trying to do, like 6 types.
That's another way to classify them, based on their desired effect. Yes, typically 6: preventive, deterrent, detective, corrective, compensating, and directive.
Okay, preventive sounds straightforward, stops bad stuff before it starts.
Like a firewall blocking a known bad connection. Stops it cold.
Deterrent tries to scare attackers off. Yeah, like warning banners on login screens or even just visible security cameras at SecureLink's office. Makes attackers think twice.
Detective finds things after they've happened.
Right. Intrusion detection systems flagging suspicious activity or reviewing logs to find evidence of a breach. You're finding it after the fact.
Corrective then fixes the problem.
Restoring data from backups after ransomware or patching a vulnerability that was exploited. It's about remediation.
Okay, compensating. That sounds interesting. Mitigating risk from exceptions.
We should dig into that one. And finally, directive controls just tell people what to do.
Like security policies, acceptable use policies.
Exactly. Training materials too. They direct behavior.
Let's go back to compensating controls. You said they handle exceptions? When you can't meet the main rule.
Precisely. Sometimes, for legitimate business or technical reasons, you simply can't implement the standard required control. A compensating control is an alternative measure you put in place to meet the spirit of the original requirement and reduce the risk.
So it's like a sanctioned workaround, but it has to be genuinely secure.
Yes, and often there are strict rules about what qualifies. The payment card industry data security standard, PCI DSS, has a formal definition. For PCI DSS, a compensating control has to meet the intent of the original rule, provide a similar level of defense, and importantly, be above and beyond other requirements. It can't just be something you should have been doing anyway.
Can you give an example, maybe relating back to SecureLink?
Sure. Let's say SecureLink has a really old critical system that only runs on an outdated, unsupported operating system. PCI DSS would normally forbid that, but maybe they can't replace it yet. A compensating control might be to completely isolate that system on its own network segment, firewall it off aggressively, so it can only talk to one specific server it needs and monitor it intensely.
So the OS is still a risk, but the isolation compensates for that risk.
Exactly. It addresses the risk introduced by not meeting the primary requirement.
And presumably this isn't just a PCI DSS thing? Companies use this idea more broadly.
Oh, constantly. It's a practical necessity. You try to meet the standard, but when you can't, you document why, implement a strong compensating control, and ideally have a plan to eventually get back to the original standard if possible. They're often temporary fixes.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered objectives, threats, impacts, controls, but ultimately, it all comes down to protecting the data itself, right?
That's the core mission. We're guardians of data. And to do that well, we need to think about where data lives or its state. Data exists in 3 states.
3 states? Okay.
Yep, data at rest, data in transit, and data in use.
Data at rest, that's data sitting on a hard drive, in the cloud.
Exactly. Stored data, it's vulnerable if someone gets unauthorized access to the storage media itself, physically or logically.
Yeah.
Think insiders copying files or attackers breaching a server.
Okay, data in transit, moving across networks.
Right, data flowing over the network, email, web browsing, file transfers between SecureLink's offices.
Yeah.
If the network isn't trusted, like the public internet, someone could potentially eavesdrop or intercept it.
And data in use. That sounds like when the computer is actually working on it.
Precisely. Data that's loaded into RAM, being processed by the CPU. If an attacker compromises the system while it's actively working with sensitive data, they might be able to grab it right out of memory. Each state needs different protection.
So how do we protect it across all 3? Encryption seems key, right? You mentioned it for confidentiality.
Absolutely fundamental. Using algorithms to scramble data makes it unreadable without the key. Crucial for protecting data at rest on disks and data in transit over networks. It's like a digital lockbox.
What about data loss prevention systems, DLP? How do they fit in?
DLP systems are like security guards specifically for data. They monitor data both on endpoints and moving across the network, looking for sensitive information based on patterns or tags.
Patterns like credit card numbers
Yeah,
or specific keywords.
exactly. Or maybe internal top-secret watermarks. If the DLP system sees that sensitive data trying to leave SecureLink's network via email or get copied to a USB drive, it can block it. It enforces data handling policies.
So it tries to stop disclosure, basically?
Yes, primarily focused on preventing unauthorized data exfiltration.
Okay. Then there's an idea called data minimization, which sounds like just having less data.
That's exactly it. It's a simple but powerful principle. The less sensitive data you have, the lower your risk if a breach occurs.
And the best way to minimize is just delete it when you don't need it anymore.
By far the best way. If SecureLink doesn't have a legal or business need to keep old customer records, get rid of them securely. You can't lose what you don't have.
But sometimes you can't just delete it, right? You still need some version of it.
Right. In those cases, you might use other techniques. De-identification is one, stripping out anything that links the data back to a specific person.
So the data is still useful for analysis maybe, but it's anonymized.
Kind of, yeah. Or you can use data obfuscation, which transforms the data to hide the original info. Hashing is one method.
Like we talked about for integrity.
Same technique, different purpose. Here, you hash, say, a student ID number. It becomes a random-looking string. But beware, if the original values are easily guessable, attackers might use rainbow tables to reverse the common hashes.
Okay, what else besides hashing?
Tokenization is another. You replace the sensitive data, like a credit card number, with a meaningless token. The real number is stored securely elsewhere in a lookup table or vault.
So SecureLink's main database just holds tokens, not the real card numbers, but you have to protect that lookup table very carefully.
Extremely carefully, yes. And then there's masking, partially hiding data, like showing only the last 4 digits of a credit card number. XXXXXXXXXXX equals 04. You see this all the time.
Right. Okay, makes sense. And we also need basic access restrictions, don't we?
Absolutely. Can't forget the basics. Things like geographic restrictions. Maybe SecureLink only allows system admins to log in from specific countries or IP ranges.
And permission restrictions, role-based access, making sure only the finance team at SecureLink can access the finance files.
Exactly. Least privilege principle. Only give access that's strictly necessary for someone's job.
One last thing then. Segmentation and isolation sounds like network stuff.
It is. Network-based controls. Segmentation means dividing your network into smaller zones. You put SecureLink's most sensitive servers, maybe payment processors, in their own segment with very strict firewall rules controlling traffic in and out.
And isolation is even more extreme.
Yeah, basically cutting a system off entirely from other networks if possible. If a critical industrial control system doesn't need internet access, isolate it completely. Reduces the attack surface dramatically.
Wow, okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
So bringing it all together, this CyberScope, it really shows cybersecurity isn't just one thing. It's not just hackers. It's this ongoing effort to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability using all these different controls: technical, operational, managerial, physical.
Right, and different types of controls: preventative, detective, corrective, and the others, all working together across data wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And rest in transit, in use.
It's a complex layered defense strategy.
It is. And understanding these core ideas, the CIA triad, the DAD triad, the potential impacts, the control types and categories, it really gives you the foundation to think critically about security in almost any situation, whether it's SecureLink or your own personal data.
Yeah, knowing this stuff definitely helps make sense of the headlines and, well, just navigate our digital world more safely. So, here's a final thought for you listening. Thinking about everything we've discussed, all this data flying around, what's one small concrete step you could take, maybe even right now, to apply one of these principles? Could it be data minimization, maybe finally cleaning out old digital files you don't need, or setting up a stronger unique password, or enabling multi-factor authentication on an important account, a basic access restriction? Think about how one small change might improve your own security posture, something to mull over.